All right, my friends, let's get started on day 2 of the summer nutrition reset roadmap. So, in building our roadmap, yesterday we started with the clarity piece. So, the clarity piece, again, is the most important piece in order to build this roadmap. If we don't have clarity where we are, how are we going to create a clear path to get to where we want to be? And so, from my perspective, one of the downfalls to so many programs out there, so many coaching programs, so many methodologies is they get really tactical and strategical as to how you're going to get to where you want to go. But there's not enough time, energy, or thought put into where are you actually starting? Because where you're actually starting, although I have my framework that I walk my ladies through. The framework stays the same, but the unique journey, the unique path is different based on the starting point. So, in continuing to build on this clarity that we created yesterday. So if you haven't watched yesterday's training, please go back and do it. These trainings are about 30 minutes. They're not super long. I know it's summer. I know you're busy. But if we have that clarity to build upon today, what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to create this compass. This compass that's going to help us navigate the roadmap. And so I love analogies, first of all, but part of the reason that I came up with this particular analogy, and I actually have become obsessed with it, is when we are looking at a compass, the way we turn our body is going to change the direction that we're going. And so this is a really great analogy for the fact that we're not just going to pay the path that's straight from starting point to ending point, right? There's going to be some winds in the road. We're going to hit some road bumps. We might hit traffic. We might hit, a closed road, all kinds of different things. But when we're really clear on where we want to go, and we're going to talk about, or where we're starting, we're going to talk about today where we want to be, then we can make sure that we're navigating those obstacles and resistances. And it's not going to be enough for one of those even closed roads to say, okay, we're done here. So in creating this internal compass, we are going to be working with our metabolism and our hormones. So I'm not going to get too sciencey within this little mini training, but just really, really briefly going into the fact that our metabolism is always communicating with us. Our metabolism is always sending us signals, whether we want to listen to them or not. The biggest issue is that we don't know how to interpret the signals that we're getting. We don't understand the language that it's speaking, because it's not just, coming up into our head and speaking plain English, it speaks its own language. And so getting really clear on, okay, what is my body telling me? What does my body want? What does my body need? And then also taking into consideration, especially given the season that we're in, from a mental, emotional, so psychological perspective, our perceptions, our physical goals, our desires that we have up in our head, how can we take the communication that we're getting and essentially bridge the two, right? And so we don't want to have this hard and fast rule of, oh, this is my favorite analogy, I only eat clean in order to nourish my body. Well, there's something to be said for nourishing your soul, for nourishing experiences, memories, and things like that. I really am big on, there's a whole thing that says, it's memories or macros, and it's not memories or macros, it's both. And so being really clear on how we can listen, learn, and interpret what's going on in the body, as well as recognizing what's going on for us and our lifestyle and our personal preferences is huge. So anyone that tells you that you have to drop your lifestyle, your personal preferences in order to truly be successful with a fat loss goal, with any type of health goal that you have, you just need to walk the other way. Because I'm here to tell you, unless you're allergic to a food, there is a way to navigate that so that we can have both. So where are we going to take our clarity from yesterday to with our internal compass? And in tomorrow's training, we're going to kind of glue all the pieces together so that you feel really clear and you feel like you have a reset. Perhaps when you came into this workshop training series, you were frustrated. You felt like you needed to get back on track. You were overwhelmed with what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, and how it was too hard to navigate. And so at the end of our time tomorrow, I want you to be really clear on where you are right now. Today's the second official day of summer, where you are right now and how you're going to get to where you want to be. So that being said, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be in the next, let's say 30 days? Let's look at a really short time frame. So 30 days from now is not even quite, it's at the end of July, but July's not quite over. So we have a little bit of summer left. Where do you want to be? How do you want to feel? What do you want to have experienced? This is something that I've used in other workshops, other live trainings, but I feel like it's one of those things that needs to be said again and again and again until people can recognize the benefit of doing it, but creating a do-don't list. And this is not a to-do list. I do want to work out X many minutes a day. I don't want to, do blah, blah, blah. This is more about how you want to feel. And so here's the thing, especially when we're looking at our metabolism and the signals that it's giving us, and I promise I'm going to give you more clarity on that. When we look at the metabolism and the signals that it's giving us, most of them come from feeling. All right. So we're not going to be running lab tests every single day, right? All these things that we perceive is how we figure out what's going on hormonally, what's going on metabolically. By the way, your hormones are your metabolism's communication system. We perceive that it's super technical. I need to run to my doctor. I need to do this and this and this and this. And so often by putting that barrier in between us understanding what's going on a hormonal and metabolic level, we miss the most important rest stop area of opportunity, right? See this all the time with people that I work with. For those that aren't familiar with my program, it used to be just 3 R's. We now 4 R's. But the most important phase, the first phase is restore. We move into reframe, rebuild, and resilience. And so throughout that program, we're constantly working with, okay, we start with restoring our metabolism, unlocking the metabolism, understanding how to interpret it, understanding how to investigate it, understanding how to navigate it. And then from there, we learn to reframe it, rebuild it, and then we create that resilience. It's the whole process. But I still, to this day, will get so many people that will be in the first couple of weeks of the restore process and be really anxious about needing to run out and get all these types of lab tests, which, by the way, if you've never done it, is really, really expensive and really, really costly. But there's so much opportunity in taking the time, which is why I'm so adamant that folks do it, taking enough time to really understand what's going on metabolically by listening. And then as we continue to investigate that, and then as we continue to modify that, then we can look at other things like lab markers. But we're really missing out on our best resource, and that is our body. And so where I'm going with all of this is back to the feeling, right? And so many times when, even different coaches, when you hear folks talk about, I want to set a goal, I need to set a goal. Or if you've joined a coaching program and they're like, what's your goal? Go to Weight Watchers, what's your weight loss goal? All of these are focused on these external factors. When in reality, the transformation comes from these internal factors, and they're not talked about enough. And so in creating your do-don't list, this is a really great way to compare experiences, memories, to how you want to feel, how you want to show up, and what you want to accomplish. Because another gap that we typically create is the fact that we have this, even motivation, we have these intentions, we have these expectations. And then over here, we have our actions, our behaviors, our thought patterns, things that we're saying to ourselves. And so there's this big gap between the two. And so in order for us to make a cohesive roadmap instead of a roadmap with, all these different pathways that are just going to get us lost and driving around in circles and maybe stuck in some mud, is to make sure that we can line up our expectations, our habits, our behaviors, our thoughts, our beliefs with what we actually want, right? All of these have to work together cohesively in order for us to make the journey to expand, ascend upward to the goal. And so getting really clear on, I don't want to feel this way. And I'm going to share some tangible examples for me. I don't want to feel this way. I do want to feel this way. And so then when different opportunities arise, and so we're not going to use the word, I'm going to share the word that I'm interchanging here, temptations, opportunities. We don't want to look at it as negative or positive. It's an opportunity. Then we can start to match it against our do don't list. And where does the value lie? So just for some tangible examples, really easy things for me. I don't really like to feel hungry or to have cravings or to feel tired throughout the day. And so this is a really interesting one for me because I still catch myself doing it. So I know that I want to prioritize protein at every single meal. I know that whether I'm on vacation, whether I'm visiting a family member, whether I'm at home, I know that I do not want to start my day with pancakes, waffles, pastries, whatever at a coffee shop. I love those things, but I don't want to start my day that way. Why? Because it's going to lead me to being hungry a few hours later, and then I'm searching for food. It's going to create an energy slump, which makes me snappy. And then I'm hard on my kids, I'm hard on my husband, I'm not pleasant to be around. And then it directly influences my food choices throughout the day. And so for me, an easy fix to that is that I just simply start my day with protein. That does not mean that I have to say no to the pancakes, the pastries, the whatever. It just means that that's not how I'm starting my day. So just a real life example of that was a couple of weeks ago when we were in Maine. We visited some pastry shops. We visited a donut shop. We visited this breakfast place that had really good pancakes with real maple syrup. And I very much knew that I wanted to partake in that. Also, realistically, my family members don't get ready for breakfast until it's more brunch time. And so if I'm up between 6 and 7, that's just my natural waking clock. I've got a good solid 4 hours before I need to be ready for those types of things. So I very simply, and I shared this actually on my Instagram stories, I very simply got up and had a protein shake. Had 42 grams of protein, had a little snack. That way I didn't get overly hungry by the time we actually went for breakfast, because that's another issue that I see a lot of people doing. They get overly hungry and then they want to eat all the things. I've been there. And so I knew that by the time I got to the restaurant, I would be able to eat moderately what I wanted. And so the very first day, I got some delicious French toast. It was stuffed with blueberries. So we were in Maine blueberries, stuffed with blueberries. It's a pretty good serving. I also got some eggs on the side, so I made sure I had additional protein, prioritized eating those eggs. And by the time I'd eaten half of the French toast, I was good. I'd had exactly what I wanted, exactly what I came for. I was completely satisfied and I was good. And so that aligned with the fact that I was on vacation and I wanted the French toast stuffed with the Maine blueberries. But I also was able to honor how I wanted to feel in the moment and how I wanted to feel throughout the rest of the day. Another big piece for me is that I don't want to be tired. So the interesting thing about vacation, holidays, weekends, is that we all have this perception about it being self-care to rest, recover, have some later night experiences, things like that. For me, anything that takes away from how I wish to feel, how I want to show up the next day, How I want to show up 2 days from then is not self-care. Self-care is being really clear on what I do and I do not want for my health, well-being, and my future, right? And so always looking at this is it's not a black and white answer. I was chatting with one of my mentors just last night on one of our coaching calls because I was really frustrated because as a science-based and evidence-based nutrition coach, there are sometimes that I so wish that I could just give clients this black and white answer. Hey, do this and this is going to be the result. The reality is that that's just not reality. And so it is a little frustrating for the logical science part of my brain, but I'm also very creative. So I guess I'm a little bit more fortunate in that way. But there's no black and white here. We can find this gap. But for me, I know that staying up too late is going to cut into the fact that I'm probably not going to get up and do my morning movement, whatever it is, walk, yoga, workout, whatever it is. It's probably going to lead to me having extra cravings through the day. So I'm not going to prioritize my protein. So my energy is going to be all over the place and I'm going to feel like crap. And then it's going to carry into the evening, so on and so forth. And so our perception is that we can stop that at the end of the weekend. We can stop that at the end of vacation. However, more often than not, people show up on Monday morning, back from vacation, back from the weekend, whatever, and they feel like they have to get back on the wagon, right? Been there? I definitely have. Feel like they have to rein it back in, everything back in control, because they feel like they have control during the week. And the fact that they have so much control during the week, they need to let go on the weekend. And so checking in with your do and your don'ts, I can tell you that you probably don't want to feel like you're in a constant slingshot back and forth. I can tell you that your metabolism sure as heck does not want to feel like it's in a constant slingshot, right? So remembering that our metabolism adapts to stress. And so being too rigid, super stressful, being too lax, super stressful. And so finding that balance means that maybe there's a couple of shifts that we make on the weekend. Maybe our food looks a little bit different. We're not going to work. We have kids at home, all these different things. Same for vacation. But our overall self-care, our expectations of how we show up for ourselves should have the same foundation. And that's one of the biggest keys to unlocking your success, whether it's summer, whether it's Christmas break, whether it's a unfortunate crisis that you have to deal with, a holiday, any kind of thing. Finding your foundation, your anchors, to say this is the minimum effective dose. If I'm doing this, I know that everything's going to mostly be okay, and Monday morning is not going to be a slingshot. And so for me, I've started to already, let into some of my anchors. Hitting my protein target every single day is an anchor. Drinking half my body weight in ounces of water every single day is an anchor. Moving my body every single day is an anchor for me. And so to go into a little bit of, because I get it. When I say moving my body is an anchor, I can already, sense the wheels going on in your head. Well, does that mean that I need to do 30 minutes of exercise every single day? No, that is not what that means. Today, the time of this recording, this morning, I got up and I have a little playlist on Spotify. It's just songs that kind of speak to me, motivate me, get my creativity going. The actual playlist lasts for 14 minutes. And I rolled out my yoga mat and I literally just moved my body for 14 minutes. There was no calorie burn intention. There was no muscle burn intention. There was none of that. It was just to move my body. And that's okay. Moving your body could look like taking some time for some intentional stretches before you get out of bed. Moving your body could be walking your dog after dinner. Sure, moving your body could be doing an intense workout on your lunch break. But again, moving away from the black and white, we don't need to be so rigid with this is how this has to look. Right? That's one of the biggest issues that we currently have. We have these perceptions, these limiting beliefs that we're placing on ourselves, that this is how this needs to look. This is how this needs to be. This is what I should be doing. And if I'm not doing it, then I'm failing and I need to rein it back in and get back on the wagon. And so again, getting really clear, how do you want to feel 30 days from now? Then we can start to break that into sub goals. How does that translate to every single day? If this is the outcome that you want 30 days from now, what elements, what emotions, what actions, what thoughts do we need to take from that version of you and translate into this is what we're doing today? And so, interestingly enough, I did one of these exercises with one of my coaches back at the beginning of May. Didn't realize that she was walking me through this until we got to the end of it. And I was like, oh yeah, I know that. And so it was a bunch of journaling props. I'm not going to have you do all that. But she had me, close my eyes and speak into when I woke up on a very specific day, how was I going to feel? What was I doing that day? All these different things. This is a really powerful experience. There's another way of doing it. It's called a future self postcard, where you write a letter to yourself. That's another way of doing it, but we're going to simplify this. Again, it's summer. I want this to be super simple, whether you're listening to the audio of this, watching the video, is to be able to say, it is 30 days from now. So whatever that is, I didn't look at the calendar. 30 days from now, what is happening for you? What is happening in your body? How do you wake up? What is your energy level like? What is your mood like? How is your hunger, your cravings? How does your body move? How does it feel to move in your body? And so knowing that that is your desired outcome, what are little things that we can pull in today? And so if you're like me, it was about this time last year when I was at the breaking point with my Hashimoto's. For those that haven't heard my story, I literally, one of my favorite things to do, I feel the most connected to myself when I'm out at the barn with my horses. I was literally driving to the barn to spend time with I only had one horse at the time, with my horse. And I called my husband and told him that I thought that I was too tired to make it there. It was the middle of the day, too tired to make it there. And I was going to pull over. And I was so frustrated. I was so sad. I was so depressed. And I told him, this has got to be what it feels like to be slowly dying. That's it. And so hopefully no one listening to this is feeling that fatigued or that at war with their body. But I know if you're listening to this and you feel that you need a reset, you probably have been in a little bit of a yo-yo. And I know metabolically that does affect your energy. It does affect our mental energy, brain fog. It affects our cravings. It affects our mood. It affects our quality of sleep, our hunger throughout the day, all the things. And so if you could get really clear on the things that you don't want and the things that you do want, then it becomes really simple. When it comes time to, do I need to start to wind down and get ready for bed or watch another episode on Netflix? It makes that decision a whole lot easier. When you can be vulnerable enough and willing to say, this is how this is going to influence tomorrow, and that doesn't match up with what I said I wanted in 30 days. Now, to be clear, that's still hard, right? It's still hard. Doesn't make some of these choices and decisions any easier. But the more clarity we have, the more times that we can raise our hand and say, this is where I'm going with this. And the more we're willing to practice, not letting the red light be like a permanent red light, the more opportunities we are given for different answers, for different outcomes. And so for the women that are in my Strong for the Summer program, most of my one-on-one women are still tracking their intake and things like that. But for the women in my Strong for the Summer program, They're not tracking food right now. And so if you're already on a journey of tracking food and that feels good and aligned for you, go for it. But I do want to encourage you to track something that has nothing to do with food. And this is going to help us create that internal compass that I was speaking about at the beginning of today's training. So if there's anything that you track, I would love for you to track your sleep. And I'm not talking about hours, I'm talking about quality over quantity. Quality of sleep, are we waking up rested? Are we falling asleep easily? Are we staying asleep? Track your hunger. Is your hunger all over the place? Do you not even feel hungry? That's huge. Hunger is controlled by hormones. How's your mood? Is it stable throughout the day, throughout the week? Or are you 35 weeks pregnant and it ebbs and flows based on the fact if it's going to be 102 degrees at 9:00 at night? Our mood should be fairly stable, right? What about cravings? Are you thinking about food all the time? Are you craving specific things? Do you feel like food thoughts take over? So sleep, mood, hunger, energy, and cravings. How is your energy throughout the day? I think I skipped that one. How is your energy throughout the day? Are you having that 3 p.m. crash? Again, are you waking up rested? Are you able to wind down? These are the communications from our metabolism. This is one of the key steps that I teach in phase 1, Restore Your Metabolism, is learning how to decode this. A non-negotiable. It is an absolute non-negotiable if you want to find harmony with your hormones, if you want to unlock your metabolism, and you want to get past feeling like you need to jump from fad diet to fad diet and obsess about your food constantly. To be clear, I do teach my people how to track macros, but that's just a tool, right? That's just a tool. So being really clear on how this can help you, how this can help you make more aligned decisions and choices throughout the rest of your summer, literally will change the game. How is this decision going to impact my sleep, my hunger, my mood, my energy, my cravings? And I guarantee you, you're going to get a lot better answers than asking yourself, how is this going to influence the scale? Because really quickly, there's so many factors that we can't control when it comes to the scale, especially when we're traveling, especially when we're eating out, especially when schedules are a little bit wonky, routines are a little bit wonky. None of those are fat gain. But these other factors, being able to track that, moving forward, that will change how you show up for yourself in the fall, how you show up for yourself future weekends, holidays, celebrations, everything. So tomorrow, we're going to move into our third and final training. We're going to link everything together. So we started with clarity. We're working today. We had a little twofer, getting really clear on the end destination, and then starting to work with our internal compass. And tomorrow we're going to create the bridge to bring all that together, so that by the end of the training tomorrow, you will be able to step out on your roadmap with your compass and feel really clear about how you want to feel and how you're actually going to get there. All right. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.